Welcome to Ledesia, a community of science built in the world of Sims 2. Please sit back and enjoy a brief tour before we begin. Coming up will be a prologue to introduce you to Ledesia, some of the main citizens, and present some of the wonderful storytelling tools that we're going to be using as we launch into Season 2 of Seri Sims. Thank you so much for joining us. While on our tour, we do ask that you do not feed the wild llamas that do populate Ledesia Island. More information about the llamas and the llama sanctuary will be presented in the following tour. The Eureka Corporation would like to let everyone know that immigration to Ledesia Island, the science community, is always open. Please be reassured that genetic profiling and intensive IQ tests are simply a normal part of the screening process. Hello everyone, and welcome back to Ledesia, the Sims 2 science community. Oh, it's been a while. It has taken several months and it's been a lot of work, but the community of Ledesia has finally been rebuilt. Bigger and better than it ever was before. Oh, look at all of it. This is still a new town. For those of you who aren't familiar with this, Ledesia is a Sims 2 community that I've been running with a really kind of free-form style of play. I play the families, they throw out all sorts of organic, exciting storylines. I roll with it, and we expand the town. It's been a lot of fun, and I'm so happy to tell everybody that Ledesia is back, and we're going to be producing some amazing adventures coming straight out of the households of the mini Sims who occupy this town. Ledesia is a science community. It's specifically populated with geniuses, your brainiacs, people who are going to build robots that are probably going to blow up, start, conversations with aliens, possibly turn everybody into cats for a day. That's the kind of community we're talking about. Where your coffee comes from a robot. Maybe your girlfriend's even a robot. Maybe you're even a robot. The sort of up-and-coming science community. It was founded by Eureka, who actually lives up on top of the hill, with the dream that by providing a safe haven for the geniuses of the world, she would be able to one day advance science and bring humanity up to the point where it's ready for intergalactic communication. Of course, secretly, and I can actually show you guys a preview, she's already had some of that intergalactic communication over here. This is Area L00. Only a few people know what's actually behind there, but I can reassure you it has to do with extraterrestrial origins. We have our observatory and the Stars Above Research Center. We have Ledesia HQ, which is where the business side of the Eureka Corporation, which owns the island and the town, is run. The Eureka Corporation is a multi-billion-dollar corporation that has interests in all fields ranging from science to modern advances in medicine, agriculture, even things as minute as how electronics are processed or how shipping is conducted. Especially when it comes to energy. And it all started right here, with a legacy that has been going on since 2008. For those of you not familiar with the Sims 2 Legacy Challenge, you start off with one Sim, get them married off, have babies, and if you're lucky and creative and have a good imagination, have a lot of stories and adventures to tell along the way. And I have been very lucky to spend my time with Eureka. This is the Eureka Gardens, and Eureka is the matriarch and founder not only of the Legacy, which takes up all the Eureka estates right here, but also of this entire town. Because of being able to play with her, everything down to this very channel has been able to come into creation, so I'm very happy to be able to be back here with her. As I said, this is Ledesia Mark II. You guys can see Season 1, which is some of my very first episodes, very first recordings ever. Not very good, just putting it out there, and it's going to have very little bearing on Season 2, which is this new series, in which we'll focus on the new adventures here in Ledesia. For those of you not familiar with Sims 2, where have you been? It's a very old game, but it's got a fantastic community, and I still love playing it over the more modern Sims games. And for those of you new to Ledesia, as I said, the basic premise is that we have all these families, we have all these potential stories. I have a lot of random generators that will help the Sims determine if they have a good week or if they have a bad week. I have a lot of extra traits. For those of you familiar with Sims 2 and Sims 3, I've taken all of the Sims 3 traits and put them in a random generator so that I can assign them to Sims 2 Sims. This adds a lot to my gameplay and makes things very interesting. I don't plan too much out. I just like to jump in and play and let things evolve from there. You guys are more than welcome to chip in with advice, commentary, theories. Let me know what you think the Sims are thinking. Let me know who your favorite Sims are. This is a very organic world. What you're seeing right here is not only my playground, but potentially yours too. So let me know what's going on, guys, and let me know what you want to see. For now, I'm going to introduce you to the new town of Ledesia, a brief tour, and then I'll introduce you guys to the families, starting with the ever-popular, ever-famous Eurekas. Down here, we have the main landing. This is main landing. The only way in and out of Ledesia is by ferry and by plane. For those of you not in a rush, there's always the hourly ferry to take. It comes twice an hour, coming and going. Or if you really need to, Ledesia does indeed have some private planes. The Skip Hop Travel Agency will transport you quickly to the nearby continent, and it will also take you to some of the larger cities along the coast. It's a free service for Ledesia citizens, as is the ferry, so that people feel like they're not isolated on this tiny island and can go hang out on the mainland whenever they want. So far, the only city on the mainland that we've managed to know is Old Elm Grove, which we'll explore later. Right now we're going to focus on Ledesia. Also, I just have to shout out to Jessa of the Jessa channel, who also runs a Sims 2 Let's Play, and she has been my inspiration from the get-go. It was seeing her Let's Plays that actually introduced me to the entire concept of Let's Plays last year, and from there my life has changed so much. And I realized when I was saying the mainland, she also has the mainland in her city of Akanthop. And I'm not referring to her land whatsoever or trying to draw any associations. It's just this is an island. And there's a mainland, and it's not this. It's where everything else is. But resuming the tour of our little landing here, we have Polar Push Park. These two parks make up the center of the landing. They're free. They've got a lot of amenities. There's actually a library in Polar Pool Park. There's quite a few sports, fun things, artsy walks, places you can go. We have Heart Clinic, which currently needs a new doctor to run it, actually. We also have a few residential spots. We also have Sprouted, run by the ever-popular Natalie Greenheart. Any fans from the last season will recall that wonderful, awesome little woman who did all she could to provide organic produce with Ledesia. She is indeed back here again and will be running her organic vegan food store, where she will be selling fruits and vegetables, among other little handcrafted items, over here at Sprouted for all the locals. We have more residential areas, more residential homes. Mango Mines Daycare, which is going to be run by Jessica Sango. Jessica Sango was in the last series, and she is again making a reappearance, being one of my very first viewer-submitted Sims, and one that I care for very deeply. Over here we've got Ledesia Elementary, where currently all students go. Considering the fact that there are only 5 children on this island, and they are all of the Eureka family, Erica just didn't feel good putting aside more funding to build a high school when basically there's only 5 kids and you guys are all going to have to share a building. So currently it is not only Ledesia Elementary, but Ledesia Middle School, Junior High, and High School. We also have the High Tech Library, a free library available to all citizens 24/7. Over here we have J3's Coffee and piano lessons. There's piano lessons, there's a coffee shop, and there's also a fashion design and graphics design mini store, which currently doesn't have anybody living on the island attending it, but is visited by commuters who come and use the spot to work every day. There's a lot of geniuses who contribute to Ledesia's community, aka the townies, but don't live on Ledesia proper, either because they couldn't get the permit. You do have to apply here, and it is actually quite rigorous. Erica is very particular about who gets to move here for some very specific reasons, or they just didn't want to live on the island. Erica didn't want to completely isolate everybody, so she does allow commuters to come to the island so they so that they can contribute to the growth of the town. After all, if you just like try to rely on just what you have in here, you might not get very far. Globalization is a little bit key to hopefully getting the transference of ideas. And yes, one of my favorite places, the chess hall. We will be visiting the chess hall quite often. Ledesia is going to have all sorts of festivals and competitions, and the chess hall is going to see quite a bit of use. Chess is a big deal here in Ledesia, and if you can become the chess king, which is a gender-neutral title, by the way, just chess king, then you are hot stuff. And actually, I am considering whoever becomes the chess king will receive a bonus to their attraction. The same kind that you could, if you're familiar with Sims 2, give to Sims if they got the genie lamp and got the attraction bonus. Because come on, you won a competitive chess tournament here in Ledesia, a science community. You're gonna be hot stuff among all these nerds, I promise you. Moving on up, we have the actual Science and Research and Development Center. This is going to be where most of the research, science, etc. buildings are going to be located, potentially some residential. We do have some residential over here. This is the home of Natalie Greenheart. This is actually the beginning of the little farm from which she is going to provide all of Ledesia with as much produce as possible. It's going to be quite fun watching her go. There's something relaxing about watching someone pluck a bunch of virtual tomatoes off of virtual vines and turn them into virtual salad. We will be observing her quite a bit. And we left off with some pretty interesting storylines that I am considering picking up again. However, I'm going to let the game be organic and just tell me where it's gonna go. That's a big part of the fun of playing The Sims. Once you hit that play button, you don't really know what's going to happen. Over here we have Coop's place. This Keller Coop, is actually the llama guy. Before Ledesia decided that it was going to be plopped down right here, Keller Coops is actually the llama guy. Before Ledesia decided that it was going to be plopped down right here, this was an empty island! And guess what? It was full of llamas. Miniature dwarf spotted llamas, no less. Very rare, very unusual breed that was only native to the area. Now, you know, Eureka, being a plant sim and being a natural biologist, is very close to nature and very concerned about that, so she made sure that the field biologist in charge of studying these little guys managed to stay on the island. It also helped that he did have the markers in his genetic profile for having genius potential. Another reason why she kept him. Also, if you are a resident of Ledesia, have no, illusions. You have no privacy. There are cameras where you didn't think there ever could be cameras, and there have been tests run on you that you can't even imagine. Your genetic profile is common knowledge to those over at Ledesia HQ. Is it common knowledge that it's common knowledge? Of course not. You think you're a private citizen. You are not. You are a member of a grand experiment. Just letting you know. As I mentioned, this is Area L00. It is completely soundproof. These are actually dampifying bamboo plants. They are not there for decoration. They are there to reduce sound so that no one understands what goes on inside. Very select researchers are allowed in here. They have to sign so many waivers that you won't even want to know how many times they signed over their soul and all their kidneys. But those who do get to work in here get to be part of top secret extraterrestrial knowledge. And, you know, that's a fair trade-off when you're very excited about things like science. The observatory is currently booked, but you can indeed schedule a private viewing. It is available to all Ledesia citizens. If you are not able to actually get into the observatory itself, you can instead go to the Stars Above Research Center, which has several telescopes strategically located on the edge of the island for optimal viewing at night when it's dark. There's a light band on this side of the island so that you can see as well as possible. Also, any extraterrestrial objects, anything that you think is interesting, any newly discovered planets, you can log in right here at the Stars Above Research Center. That is where all information is currently recorded about such things. There are still rumors of abductions, and the Eureka Corporation would like to say right now that they have no comment. They might in the future, though. Ledesia HQ, as I said, this is where the business side of things is handled. Despite being a spindly little island with only a scattering of citizens and a handful of buildings, I promise you that Ledesia is backed by a multi-billion-dollar corporation. Most of their money goes directly back into their research and to community aid projects, but it's pretty clear to those who are watching that Eureka, who runs Ledesia and who manages the Eureka Corporation with the help of her daughter Rosalind, has big plans. People might even think that she's perhaps, as I mentioned, trying to prepare humanity for something bigger. Over here we have one of my favorite research centers, Boom Research. They are, if you can imagine, interested in rocketry and explosives. It's quite entertaining to come here and stand inside of one of their demonstration booths, but you do have to sign a waiver just in case, you get blown up. Over here we've got the archaeology dig site, which is currently being used by Kalea Alkempt, one of the citizens currently in Ledesia. She is going through the archaeology dig site, finding several amazing artifacts from native populace who used to live here on the island of Ledesia. And lucky for her, right down the street is the Museum of Science, which is actually currently run by her husband, Jacob. Jacob Alkempt has been given the job, colorblind as he is, and sarcastic. You gotta watch out, he can be a little bit biting. For filling up the Museum of Science and Natural History with items related to science and natural history is currently completely empty. He has the job of trying to make it a 5-star, awesomely reviewed venue that people will be drawn to as a tourist item here in Ledesia, as well as an educational center too for its citizens. Quite the challenge, but Jacob thinks he's up to it, especially with the help of his wife, who can just kind of shimmy some of those items over to the Museum of Science. Up here we have a fascinating circle of trees. No one knows why these trees grow like this, but it is called Richard's Circle. It is named after the explorer who first discovered this ring of trees, though what happened to him afterward is unknown, as he seems to have vanished. It's almost as though visitors from afar came and swooped down and took him away. Of course, Ledesia is quite efficient with its wind farm. Occasionally you can see a very brave soul paragliding over here too. I would not suggest paragliding next to a wind farm. This is just my 2 cents. There we go. There is said brave soul, once again, deciding to paraglide next to the wind farm. This is not recommended. The Eureka Corporation would like everyone to know they do not support these actions. I'm sure he had to sign a waiver. And finally, up here we have the more exclusive residential area for citizens of note. Not to be hoity-toity, but just to kind of give people whose minds work all day a bit of a break in the peace and quiet of a nice, relaxing residential zone. The Eureka family owns this entire chunk up here. We have the Eureka Estates, the main Eureka Estates, where we have, as I said, matriarch Eureka, her husband Evander, and her daughter and heir Rosalind Eureka and her family living. The main Eureka Estates is quite nice. It's got a wonderful observatory, nice garden. We'll be looking at it soon. Over here we have the home of Newton Eureka and his wife Valerie and their 3 red-headed children. Over here we've got the home of Evelyn Eureka and her twins, Yuri and Kale. We'll be visiting all of them in time, getting to know them, figuring out who's our favorite, watching the stories unfold, and I will introduce you to some of the basic stories. Just so you guys know, to make things much easier for everybody involved, I have constructed a citizen census list, and I'll put a link to it. It's on the Ledesia Tumblr, a Tumblr specifically designed for the city, so that you guys can see pictures, you guys can follow information about the citizens who live here. You can see some of the storylines that aren't going to be recorded in Let's Plays because they might need some more specific picture angles, a little bit of writing. Ledesia is really going to be built kind of as a mixture between the LP, where I'm going to be recording what happens, and it's going to be very organic, it's just kind of going to happen and we're going to roll with it, and the more traditional pen and paper story type of telling, where I'm going to take what the Sims are telling me, take what the traits are telling me, take what you guys are telling me, and turn it into a story, a more cohesive story than can be told through video, and put it on the Tumblr. You guys can double check, like you can go, oh, who's that Sim again? I can't remember who they are. And you can go to the Tumblr and look them up, and I should have tons of information about them so you can remember who's who, how they're related to everybody without getting overwhelmed. In future videos, if we focus on specific Sims, I will always put a link to their information in the About video section. Oh, yep, and then the apple orchard, because, come on, Newton, He had to own an apple orchard. And not to be outdone, Erica built the Eureka Gardens where she and her husband go to relax. And Evelyn has the beautiful flower fields. Rosalind? The heiress? Well, she has everything. But yes, we're going to be visiting all the families. This is just an introduction episode, kind of a prologue to everything, to let you guys know what's here and where we're going. So let me know what you guys think. Let me know what you're excited about. Let me know who you want to see. Do you want to see the llama guy? Do you want to see some of the new people? I'll do a brief introduction to some of our other new people. We have Mr. Thornburn, Mr. Garrett Thornburn, who wants to own as much wine as possible in the world. He's quite a flirty man who tends to have a bit of a bad habit of flirting with married women. It's just something that he loves. He's also a great cook and a fantastic businessman. He's often seen at Ledesia HQ doing some work over there. Over here, despite the Eureka name, that's not accurate, ignore that. We have Jocelyn Anita. She is the town sheriff. She is actually really cute, very friendly, and unfortunately already making friends with some of the town's secret criminals. We'll be introduced to those guys next time too. As I said, we also have Jessica Songo and her 2 puppies. If you guys want to see corgi puppies, we can always visit Jessica. She is attempting to breed Lady Apricot and Sir Silverboy so that they can have some adorable Sango puppies. We also have the Owlkemps. That's an interesting family, and that's going to be in charge of running the museum and trying to make it a fun and interesting place to be, as well as working at the archaeology site, which is going to be a lot of dirty, smutty work, but hopefully turn up something fun, like the occasional treasure chest. Now, it would be interesting to see if Kalea is going to keep the treasure chest for herself, or turn it over to her husband so that he can feature it inside of the museum. That might be a little bit of Battle of the Wills there. Speaking of Battle of the Wills, we can also see how our lovely and ever-popular Natalie fares with the Battle of the Seasons and the battle against the weather. So we can get her little shop of Sprouted going and just check up on her, or we could hang out with Mr. Keller Coops and his many future llamas. We've got a lot of llamas to put in here, actually. I need to make sure they show up. He does indeed take care of llamas. You will be seeing llamas, as in little llamas, inside of his land, and they will be roaming free all over the island. So there are quite a few interesting things to see. A little bit about each character's story, history, and potential has been listed in their biographies that can be found on the Tumblr, and I look forward to seeing you guys next time when finally, after months of careful care, we let go and we press play and we let the Sims and the stories just unfold in front of us. I will see you guys next time. I am so excited that Ledesia is finally back. Thank you for all your patience and your support. Bye bye!